Thank you, Gonyo dear. Thank you so much for your words, your prayer, for starting us off on the right way as you welcoming us to this beautiful territory. Merci Stephen pour ton leadership infatigable. C'est grâce à des gens comme toi, dont la vie a été consacrée à protéger la nature et à agir pour le climat, qu'on est ici aujourd'hui. I want to recognize all the leaders and representatives joining us from across the country, particularly the Indigenous leadership that's with us today. As you see from this map, gathered here today are representatives from every corner of the country, with more work to do in other areas that demonstrate that the only way forward is in true partnership, drawing on the wisdom, the respect, and the knowledge that comes from Indigenous people who've protected this land for time immemorial. In 2018, we worked in partnership with the Dehcho First Nations to establish Ededje, which became Canada's first Indigenous protected and conserved area. Ededje in the Northwest Territories represents over 4,000 square kilometres of land, protects headwaters, is home to boreal caribou, and is of cultural and spiritual significance for the Dehcho and Tlicho Dene. This was and remains a major step forward on how we not just protect nature, but do it right, by working in partnership with Indigenous communities, and by listening when Indigenous people tell us that walking forward on reconciliation and making progress on conservation must go together. And if Ededje was a major step on the shared journey, then what we're announcing today is a leap forward. Ce matin, j'annonce que le Canada va investir jusqu'à 800 millions de dollars dans 4 grands projets de conservation dirigés par les peuples autochtones d'un bout à l'autre du pays, qui représentent un total de près de 1 million de kilomètres carrés. Il va y avoir un projet de conservation dans la zone marine du Grand Ours dans l'ouest, un autre dans le nord de l'Ontario, le projet de conservation des Omushkego, un projet dans la région de Qikiqtani au Nunavut et un dernier projet dans les territoires du nord-ouest. Chaque projet est unique en son genre et dans quelques instants, leurs représentants vont vous en parler davantage. Canada will provide up to $800 million to support 4 major Indigenous-led conservation projects across the country, covering almost 1 million square kilometres. Each of these projects is different because each of these projects is designed by communities, for communities. On the Pacific Coast, in the Great Bear Sea, we're supporting the group representing 17 First Nations to deliver an integrated bioregional marine conservation and sustainability initiative. Heading north, you'll reach protected boreal forests, rivers and lands across the Northwest Territories in a project that's a partnership between 30 Indigenous governments across the territory, supported by the Government of Canada. From there, east and even further north, will take you to the Qikiqtani region and a vast network of protected waters and land, safeguarded through Inuit stewardship and governance, founded on Inuit Kauyamayuk. And then south to western James Bay and the world's 3rd largest wetland, and a vision of stewardship led by the Omushkego Cree. Ces projets vise autant à assurer le bien-être des communautés qu'à protéger la nature. On sait que pour créer des emplois et favoriser une économie forte, il faut absolument lutter contre les changements climatiques. Eh bien, c'est la même chose pour la protection de la nature. Communities have been clear. Safeguarding lands and waters will help build a strong future for generations to come. As a government, our role is to listen and support that vision. That has been our approach with other initiatives, like the Indigenous Guardians Program, which supports First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people on stewardship over traditional lands, waters, and ice. The role of partner underpins our approach with these new projects too, alongside others who've committed to join this work. I want to recognize also the leaders from foundations and philanthropic organizations who are part of stepping up to help make these 4 projects a reality. After all, conservation and protection take money for land planning work, for funding for communities on stewardship and monitoring, for supporting local jobs and growth. It takes resources to create a conservation economy where caring for the land is a career opportunity and where people can be stewards of their own homes. By working together, we're able to deliver that major necessary support no individual partners could provide alone. And that brings me to why it matters that we be announcing this today as Canada welcomes the world to the largest nature COP we've ever seen. And Chief Linklater.
Wache Misue. I would like to thank our elder for sharing the short little song, but beautiful, and the words of wisdom. And I'd like to acknowledge the land that we are meeting on today, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Huron-Wendat, the Abenaki, and Anishinaabe. I'm very grateful for our Indigenous brothers and sisters for welcoming us into their territory. And I'd like to thank Prime Minister Trudeau, Minister Guilbeault, my fellow Indigenous leaders, and all of you for gathering here with us today. I'm very honored to be here today to speak on behalf of our people, Omishkego, Illiluwak, and Innuwak. Mishkego Council represents 7 communities: Misnabi Cree, Chapleau Cree, Taekwatekamau, Moose Cree, Fort Albany, Kashechewan, Attawapiskat. And we often work closely with Winnisk First Nations on a variety of projects, and now we are beginning to develop a relationship with Fort Severn First Nation with regards to this marine-led initiative. Our people have lived along the James Bay and inland since time immemorial. Our territory is quite vast. It makes up almost 1/3 of Ontario. And our people continue to use the lands and waters and have named every aspect of the lands and waters. And our people have stewarded the land since as long as I can remember. And it's only been recently, within the last 150 years, our ability to protect and look after our lands and waters have been interrupted. And many of our elders and members have asked me to ensure that our lands and waters are respected and protected. So taking care of our homelands is one of my sacred duties as Grand Chief. It is our lands and our waters that connects us to our culture, traditions, language. It is a part of who we are as the Omishkego, Illiluwak, and Innuwak. It also provides healing to our people. And without our lands and waters, we do not exist. Within our homelands lies the ancient peatlands. You know, it's been growing for over 1,000 years, and it stores billions of tons of carbon. And these wetlands have been cooling the planet for over 1,000 years. And our elders often refer to these lands as the breathing lands. Our wetlands feed many majestic rivers in our territory. These waters flow out to the bay and then into the sea. Many migratory birds go by our area, and our lands and our coasts are birthing place for many of North America's birds. There are a number of freshwater fish that live in our waters and move back and forth from the bay and in the rivers. Our coastline, it's quite long. It's about 1,200 kilometers, almost as long as Hawaii's coastline. We are pleased that the Omishkego responsibility and capacity to conserve and steward our sacred lands and waters is being recognized by Canada and the international and Canadian philanthropic partners of Project Finance for Permanence. We look forward to building on this moment in true partnership to create an Omushkego-led conservation area, an ongoing stewardship project. We know our relationship with the lands continue to be important for our people. It is because of this relationship it will help lead to a safer and healthier planet for all. Miigwech.
C'est extraordinairement important de prendre encore un moment pour remercier ces leaders au Québec. On sait que la langue est importante, donc je veux le faire dans leur propre langue. Miigwech, Kuyanamik, Masicho, Gela Kusla. Thank you very much for everything you guys are bringing today, in your confidence in the land, confidence in your people, and confidence in the partnership we are building right now. C'est un moment extrêmement important pour le Canada, mais un exemple aussi pour le monde. Et on est ravis de vous avoir ici avec nous aujourd'hui. Merci.